If you feel behind right now, this video is definitely for you. My name is Michael Boyer. I've been training with my family Jiu-Jitsu for the past 5 years. We just recently started a Fightwear company called Stonebelt. It's a small family Canadian-owned business that we are launching in the last 6 or 7 months. Now, we all know that December to January is like highlight reel season, and a lot of competitors, a lot of well-known Jiu-Jitsu guys will put their exploits out there, and it creates for a very explosive, if I could say, cocktail for a lot of us, because comparison season comes around. Every early year you get to compare yourself to other people, which, you know, can be both good and bad in some ways. Everyone looks ahead and they want to see how their progress has been, if they're better than their next compatriot. But the problem with that, and the problem with most of social media, and I don't think it applies just to BJJ, by the way. I think it's a social phenomenon that we should all probably be careful about. But what ends up happening is that there's a lot of stuff out there, highly edited reels, that go around and, you know, make you feel like you probably don't belong. And the hidden danger in that is that you start to compare yourself, but not realistically, not with normal people that do jiu-jitsu, but with like either high level athletes or people that, like I said, you know, most likely highly edit their highlight reels and, you know, pick and choose whatever they want to show on, you know, on their public front. So for a lot of us, the core issue becomes feeling like you're falling behind, feeling like you're failing at jiu-jitsu, feeling like you're missing something, that you're not understanding, that it seems like everybody on the internet understands jiu-jitsu, and you're there and you're struggling every session and getting smashed. I think the good influencers out there in the BJJ realm will tell you that they probably get smashed too, and they probably have a hard time sometimes. And especially if you're starting your BJJ journey, you'll probably get that feeling more than most people. And, you know, we end up using the wrong metrics to compare ourselves, instead of just saying, am I better than I was last year? Have I learned something? Like, now, if you can't say yes to that question, now maybe you have an issue, and maybe you need to reevaluate how you train and how you go in, what mindset you go in to train. And you know, maybe you just need to tweak a few things and it'll get better. Even at the same belt level, you don't always have the same level necessarily. A 20-year-old kid who has nothing to do except train 4 times a day obviously is going to probably be better than the 40-year-old dad like me, who trains 3 times a week, has 3 kids, has a busy schedule. You know, one roll with the guy and you'll notice that you're probably on different levels, but can you really compare those two fairly? And then you have to ask yourself, why are you doing jiu-jitsu in the first place? Are you like actually a competitor? If not, then, you know, don't worry about it. If you want to be a competitor, then, you know, that's another thing, and shut your mouth and train. I guess that's the fast version of saying it. But sometimes, especially if you're starting your BJJ journey, or even martial arts in general, learning can feel really slow at first, and you can feel like you're in your own world and you're doing nothing right, and, you know, it feels painful and slow, and sometimes the quiet work kind of feels pointless. You don't see the results right away, and progression is most of the time really slow at the beginning. And that's where grit and perseverance comes in, because you probably won't see the results until a few months, maybe a year into your journey. And then if you compare yourself the right way with the right metric with yourself and maybe with people who have like the similar background as you in the gym, then you can probably see that you did progress. And when you roll with some guys or some girls, you'll notice, okay, I can defend myself better. I don't, instead of getting tapped out 10 times in a row, I get tapped out maybe 2-3 times. And then eventually I can progress. I can even pull off a submission. I think I remember myself. I don't think I pulled off a sub for, I don't know, within like a few months, like a good few months, like maybe 6 months or something like that. Anyway, the early work feels really mechanical, repetitive, and even then you don't feel like you're doing the mechanics too good. But you just need to hear the feedback from your professor, your coaches, and just keep at it. Consistency at the end of the day will, and discipline, I truly believe will win the day, and you'll get better. I mean, it's hard to put that much effort into something and not get better. It's just sometimes we just don't see it and we don't feel it until there's like this little step, and we can. It just pops and we're like, oh, I can do that now. Comparison is a dangerous thing because you can see the outcomes, but not necessarily the years of drilling and practicing and putting efforts in. And if you only weigh things by the ultimate outcomes, then I think to be frank, I think you're missing part of the journey if you're only looking at the end result. To me anyway, it feels like part of the journey is the training and is the grind and embracing that state that is really different than anything you'll do in your regular life. It takes, a level of commitment and sacrifices because it takes a toll on your body usually. I mean, anyway, at 40, it's definitely taken a toll on my body. And there's a real difference between the behind the scenes of the highlights reels that you see on Instagram and real workouts. I mean, the social pressure that we are under because of social media and everything that we put in front of our eyes really distorts our judgment of where we should be when we start. It's not, you can understand a move like rationally in your head and still have a very difficult time pulling it off, even on like a static opponent, because sometimes the mechanic just feels wrong and you'll have to drill that and drill that and drill that until it becomes smooth. And even then you'll probably have difficulty pulling it off in a real match with like live action. So I guess the real questions you should be asking, especially if you're starting your journey, is am I showing up consistently? Am I learning something real? Am I doing the work? And like, am I going to class regularly and sweating and putting in the grind? If you are, then you're being consistent. You're showing up. Then I would say, like, don't worry about it. The first few months, the first few years, don't focus on the results, especially if you're like a hobbyist like I am. There's always going to be somebody better in the gym, always. It's just inevitable. Unless you're actually trying to be the best in the room, then, embrace just being a hobbyist. Embrace just doing it because of what it does for you, what it brings, the health benefits, the mental benefits, just the mindset benefits that Jiu-Jitsu or martial arts bring in general. Embrace that instead of embracing the results of just being good. Speed matters less than the direction into which you're going, because early it's going to feel uncomfortable, it's going to feel uncertain, like you're not necessarily going to understand where you're going. And that's where being in a good school and having a good professor really comes into play, because they're going to be able to see and give you like a direction to go, even if you don't see that you're progressing yourself, your coaches can probably see it, and they can probably tell you, okay, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to work on, and we're going to work on getting this part of your game better. And eventually through time, you'll like, oh, I can actually keep a guard. Oh, I can actually get out of side control. You know, all these little things are going to stack up. So my message is you're not too late. You're not broken if you feel like you're not stacking up those if you feel like you're not stacking up to those Instagram and TikTok reels, you know, don't worry about it. Don't stress. The point is to be better than you were yesterday. If you're consistent, if you're working at doing something real like Jiu-Jitsu, which is like real combat, it's already good enough just to go and put in the hours and put in the grind. Stay there, like persevere, and with time, let your efforts and let your journey do the job for you. And someday you'll realize that you're actually way better than you thought you were. And those are the good days, the good moments. So enjoy the journey, my friends. Don't give up, and keep on rolling.
Forged under pressure, worn with honor. Join the movement, subscribe, and follow Stonebelt.